Do you feel that we are over diagnosed emotionally and psychologically, and do you feel that we're over boxed in with labels?
A few moments later.
Hey everybody, how are you? Good morning. Semi-fresh cup of coffee. Been up for a couple of hours because my brain's just been going like it does. That's because that's what I do. So I typed in the chat GTP, what are the top 10 personality disorders for 2025? Okay, just kind of one of a roundabout way. Never heard of these things, but they're a thing. So listen to this. Digital disassociation disorder, tech-induced identity crisis, AI-induced paranoia, artificial intelligence anxiety disorder, clout addiction disorder, chronic validation seeking. Oh shit. I'm like, oh man, I just outed myself. Shit. NPC syndrome, extreme social conformity disorder. Whew. Trauma core personality disorder, over-identification with trauma. Hustle culture burnout disorder. We've all heard of that, I think. So that's productivity addiction. Really? Delulu confidence syndrome. Delusional optimism disorder. Simulation syndrome. I hate this word. I know I can say it, man. I'm an adult. I'll try it again. Simulation syndrome. Existential reality crisis. Infinite scroll dependency disorder. The fuck? So that's like attention erosion syndrome. And number 10, hypermasculinity versus soft boy identity crisis. Never heard of that. Male identity disorder. Okay, now wait a second. Now, then I typed in, what are the top 10 personality disorders in 1980? I'm going, okay, maybe, ooh, you know. So here we go. Yuppie narcissism, greed and status obsession, Reagan era paranoia disorder, Cold War anxiety syndrome, MTV attention deficit disorder, short attention span syndrome. I mean, these are things that are like psychologists at some point shoved these responses and syndromes, like made a thing out of this, you know? Satanic panic paranoia, moral outrage and disorder. Action hero machismo complex, hypermasculinity disorder. Soap opera drama dependency, brah. Melodrama addiction syndrome. Mall culture fixation, materialism and consumer identity crisis. Fitness and diet obsession disorder. Aerobics mania and body image fixation. Cocaine confidence syndrome. They actually labeled that as a syndrome. It sounded like it would be more of a response. Substance-induced grandiosity. And synthwave escapism disorder. I saw synthwave. I was like, oh, this has to do with music. Now, futurism and tech anxiety. So it says here in the subtext, movies like Blade Runner, Tron, and The Terminator fueled a fascination with neon-lit futuristic escapism. Okay, wait, one more. I said, let me dive just a little deeper in this. So I said, what are the top 10 disorders for the 1960s? Cold War paranoia disorder, conformist suppression syndrome, beatnik alienation disorder, psychedelic induced schizophrenia disorder, Vietnam War trauma disorder. Yes, we all know without a doubt. Free love emotional instability disorder, civil rights activist burnout syndrome, hippie utopian delusion, political assassination trauma disorder, that's mostly close to the JFK, MLK, RFK deaths thing. And then finally, this is killing me, rock and roll rebellion syndrome. Teenagers clashing with authority through music and culture. Bruh, that's what we do. Oh my God, these are syndromes that have actually been sussed through by the psychological world and labeled and then kind of now used as a baseline, to now move those into a disorder. What's happening now is that we are completely overdiagnosed with something and then put into a box, and then we're labeled as such. For myself, the only way to actually truthfully, continue with this video is that I've always said, boof, little different syllables in there or letters, that this is the way I am. And I realized early on that I cannot function in the way that society has built this program in order for us to function. The whole rabbit hole of the thing started when somebody had kind of mentioned, I heard somebody mention something about, George is so happy all this, he's always such a good energy in here. Somebody had said, yeah, probably because he's got some real dark demons. I was like, what? And then it made me it rented space in my head. And then that's how I started this journey. And then I realized, oh my gosh, we are so overwhelmingly, boxed in some kind of a label, based on things that we should be using for ourselves as strengths. What is that other thing they do in education where it's like, oh, this person learns more by images than by words? That would be me. You put pictures in front of me and I can assemble it. I put it in my head and stuff like that. I can remember like a presentation is more memorable to me than it is when I used to have to read books and then take notes and do a book report or something. I couldn't do it. So I use those strengths to go, well, imaging. Oh, and then into music, blah, blah, blah. You know my story. Anyhow, do you feel that we are over diagnosed emotionally and psychologically, and do you feel that we're over boxed in with labels? Or is it because I went down this rabbit hole and now I find myself just having a conversation based on maybe my own confirmation bias in what it is I'm typing in. But anyhow, I thought it was a trip. I cannot believe all of these syndromes. And I can't believe that people sat down and studied it and went, this must mean, you know what I'm saying? Constant diagnosis, my God. I just go back to reading Carl Jung or Schopenhauer, a little bit of nihilism, that's always kind of fun. Anyhow, my coffee's now cold. I hope whatever I did made some kind of sense and had a little bit of fun, because this is the Positive Wave Writer channel. And I know what I just talked about was just kind of meh, but that's what I do when I do. You guys have an absolutely epic day. Morning, evening, night, wherever you are in the world. Smoke them if you got them. I got coffee. See ya.